Okay, in this video I'm gonna talk about Virtual Router Redundancy Protocol, or VRRP. VRRP is one of the first hop redundancy protocols. So first hop meaning that from the user perspective, and it is the first device that you have to go through if you want to get out to the internet. So and you can actually verify that if you are using a Windows computer, if you're gonna do a trace search, or if you are just simulating a PC, and if you are using a router, you can do it by doing a trace route. And the first device that you will go through is it's called a gateway. So that's why it's called first hop redundancy protocol. So VRRP is open standard, open industry, meaning that it can be used not just by Cisco, but by other vendors as well, like Juniper or Arista and other vendors. So like HSRP, it lets you, it is a protocol that you can use if you want to have redundancy for your gateways. So you can have two or more gateways and act as a single gateway for redundancy purposes. So let's talk about how to configure it. So I would suggest that you watch the video where I discussed HSRP, how HSRP operates or how it works, because I'm actually using the same IP addressing and IP addressing, and also the layer 3 interfaces, in this case interface VLAN 10. So, and basically, as you can see here, we have two switches. These are multi-layer switches, or you can actually configure routers also, but here I'm using multi-layer switches. So let's talk about the configuration. So interface VLAN 10, this is a layer 3 interface, and you have to configure it as any other interfaces. You have to configure it with an IP address. So in this case, I'm using 10.1.1.255.255.255.0 or /24. And next, unlike HSRP, where you have to type standby, VRRP is much easier because you just have to remember VRRP, and the command that you use to enable it is VRRP also. So here, VRRP 10, this is the group number, the IP, and this is the VRRP IP, of course. So here I'm using 10.1.1.1. So this is the virtual IP. And by the way, the IP here, this is the IP that is used for the routing protocols and for the management IPs, for the management purposes. So VRRP 10 priority 200. Just like HSRP, the priority is set to 100 by default. And VRRP 10, next command is VRRP 10 preempt. Preempt is actually enabled by default in VRRP, so you don't have to type to configure it. But for easy visualization, I think that it would be best if you type it so that you would easily know that it is enabled. Doesn't matter whether it is enabled by default or not. So yeah, that's how you would configure the master switch. This is actually the master switch, because as you can see, the priority is 200. So the master switch or the master router is the master router becomes the master router because of the priority, or the because it has the highest priority. So I'm gonna talk about this a little later. So let's and master in HSRP, you say active router or active switch and the standby switch. But in VRRP, they are actually called master and backup routers, as you can see here. So let's talk about how we can configure the backup router or secondary router. So here I'm using switch 3. So same interface, interface VLAN 10. And by the way, this doesn't have to match VRRP 10 because the VRRP 10 here is locally significant, so that doesn't have to match. So like any other interfaces, you have to configure it with an IP address. So here I'm using 10.1.1.3, 255.255.255.0. So as you can see, they are both on the same subnet. They have to be on the same subnet. And VRRP 10 IP, of course, same virtual IP address, because this is the IP address that will be configured on the computers. And VRRP 10 priority, like I said earlier, priority is set to 100 by default. You don't have to enable it, but here we are enabling it for easy visualization. And also VRRP 10 preempt is enabled by default, unlike HSRP. So yeah, that's it. That's how you would configure the master router and the backup router. So verifying HSRP, you just have to type show VRRP and you would see the individual interfaces. So in this case, you would see this as the master router and this is the backup router or switches. So let's compare VRRP to HSRP. So like I said earlier, preempt is enabled by default. In VRRP, you can actually use the interface IP as the virtual IP address. You can't do that with HSRP. And the primary router is called master router. Secondary is called backup. So, like I said earlier, the primary router in HSRP is called active router, and the secondary router is called standby router. And default timers. The hello timer is 1 second, hold on timer is 3 seconds. And HSRP, and by the way, just for clarification, these are all associated with VRRP, or these are all features of VRRP. Default timers. So hello is 1 second, hold down timer is 3 seconds. In HSRP, hello timer is 3 seconds, hold down timer is 10 seconds. So yeah, that's it for VRRP. I'm gonna talk about GLBP in a separate video. So, but for now, that's it. Yeah, that's it for VRRP. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.